pretty well.
Yeah.
Hey! It is 11:45. This is Daily Dose episode 11. As you guys see, I have a special guest, but we aren't going to get started yet. We're going to let people jump on before we introduce the guest. Had a pretty good morning so far. Recorded a few videos, create some content. What have you guys been doing today? Relaxing? Taking a nap? Yes, that is Ginger.
Hi, Shannon.
If you guys have not started reading the book, you're not going to know what's going on today. You're not going to have any idea. Remember, get the book. It's a good read. The Power of Broke by Damon John. Alright? By Damon John. I'm finished. I'm on to the next one.
Oh, I'm halfway through.
Ginger's halfway through. That's alright. You don't need to be finished yet. I'm just finished because I'm going to read through a couple and determine our book for next month. If you guys need to get this book, we're going to talk about it today. The Power of Broke. If you guys have not read the book, if you haven't started it, read it and catch up. If you have, you know the book is talking about using the power of broke. You know, he's talking about having empty pockets, a tight budget, that type of thing, and just a pure desire to be good at something, how that can really help you. Too often people think they need, you know, big bank accounts and all this stuff to get started, to do something great, and he's proven that's definitely not the fact. You guys see some of the people in his book are doing great things, and they started from very, very humble beginnings. I definitely think that times have changed because I was reading something that I want to say 82% of millionaires now are self-made, as opposed to I think about 40 or 50 years ago it was only about 40%, right? So times are changing, right? They're definitely changing. People that are just super hungry are out there getting it. They aren't relying on anyone else, right? So as you guys see, we have Ginger here. This is Ginger Gibson. She is a member of Dynasty CrossFit. I'm super pumped to have her here today. So we're going to talk about the power of broke and how it's affected her life. But I'm going to let Ginger introduce herself for a couple minutes or so, however long she needs. She's going to talk a little bit. She's going to tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to get through some questions for you guys. So.
All right. You want me to tell first how long I've been at Dynasty?
Yeah.
All right. So I've been here with Dynasty for, I guess November started my third year. So the first year I did their boot camp for a year, and then I came over when the gym started here. And I have not a native of Florida. I have been here though 23 years, I think it's been now. So I didn't grow up here, but I am married. I have 2 kids. I've been married, this year will be 19 years, long time. I have 2 girls actually, the one that's 8 and one that is 12, and I currently am employed at Santa Fe College, and I am the chief financial officer there.
All right, so Ginger is the CFO of Santa Fe College. If I'm not mistaken, Santa Fe is the #1
college in the nation. Yes,
#1 college in the nation, right? So that's pretty big, right? That's pretty big. So I have someone here that has a very, very important position, and we're going to talk about, you know, how she's used the power of broke. She's going to talk a little bit about how she grew up, you know, talk about just how she started. You know, I don't know if she had rich parents, poor parents. I don't know anything about it, so she's going to share that with us at the same time, and then we'll go from there. All right,
cool. So interestingly enough, rich parents, broke parents, I think growing up you don't really understand what that is, but I grew up, I was actually the product, if you want to say that, of a 15 and a 16-year-old. So my parents were very, very young and did not make it very long married. And when my parents divorced, I think I was about 7 or 8, so I remember it very vividly. But my father actually took custody of us, a little different. And so my father actually raised, there was 3 of us, I was the oldest. However, my father quickly remarried, and so we soon became a family of 5 children. We had ample means, not a lot, except for my parents. My father and my stepmother were both alcoholics, so I grew up being the oldest and kind of the caregiver, if you want to put it that way. So I was the one taking care of my siblings. I was the one that kind of made sure they got to school, all that kind of stuff. However, once I reached high school, I kind of started fending for myself, I guess you could say, and I wanted to do a lot of things. And I think when I think back, one of the things this book reminded me of was about your passion and what you want to do. I think that led me a lot along the way. I also still today use mentors, and I did back then, and I don't know if there's a correlation there, but I always sought out people that I aspired to be like, or who I thought, I don't know, had something to offer or something to share. And so I think one of the greatest things is I had a family that I was associated with, and they actually kind of took me under their wings, and I did a lot of things with them. They helped me get places because I didn't have my parents didn't do that for me. And then once I got into high school, I played sports, and I loved volleyball and basketball were my thing. And my parents were fine with me doing that, but they didn't help with that. They didn't help pay for it. They didn't do anything like that. So I actually worked jobs on the weekends, at night, anything that I could do to make sure that I could play the sports. Summers, I worked a lot during the summer so I could save up money. Those were kind of like what I called my outs, my something I love to do. I was also a good student. I enjoyed learning. Learning has come easy to me. So I immediately graduated high school and moved out on my own. I left the family and jumped out, and I researched. I wanted to go to school. No one in my family went to school, but a lot of people had talked to me. A lot of teachers had talked to me about it. So I can't even tell you now. It's been so long ago. I sent scholarship things out like crazy, and I actually received lots of scholarships. I went through all the way my first 4 years without having to take a loan, with working full time, as well as using the scholarship money that I received to do that. So luckily, academics was not easy for me, but it also wasn't hard. And so I worked full time going to school. I wanted to be a doctor. However, I knew that I didn't want to go broke along the way. And so I was always a manager and an accountant, or did bookkeeping work. And so I decided to be an accountant. And so that's kind of how I've gotten to where I am, I think. Wow. And a long story, more than you wanted to know.
No, that's great. No, that's great. So, all right. So from what Ginger had just told us, and you correct me if I say anything wrong, she grew up, her parents were young, 15 and 16. Man, that's young. Anyone that has kids, I'm 32 and I have some young kids. I can't imagine when I was 15 having some young kids. That has to be rough on everyone, the kids and the parents. But she had young parents. She started growing. She had to grow up rather quickly, but she knew from that, from those circumstances, that she wanted to be something successful, right? Something good, which is great. I definitely think that growing up like that has definitely made her realize stuff, and I'm pretty sure she does stuff for her girls that she didn't have growing up, which I think is something that all first generation parents that sort of live a way that they didn't grow up as strive to do. But at the same time, I know that it's a struggle. You don't want to give your kids too much because you didn't grow up with anything. Then you see your kids with everything. Like that's something that me and Christina definitely struggle with, think about as well.
And I need to work on that.
Because when I was growing up, my mom would tell me, or my parents, you better not go in the store and ask for anything. My kids, they go in the store and they ask for something every single time. So just totally different backgrounds. So Ginger, how do you think, so tell me a little bit about what do you do now in your current position? Because I don't know. I mean, CFO is just a cool title to me. I don't know a ton about it. I'm a CEO, but I don't even know what that means really. I'm just what do you do?
So CFO obviously is the financial aspects of the institution that I'm at, and so I have to assure that our finances are in order. However, majority of actually what I end up doing is I lead people. I have 8 direct reports, and I have over 100 indirect reports. And so I'm really there to inspire and lead and help accomplish things. And so one of the things that was interesting to me in the book, and I talked about passion, and the reason I chose education, I think there's a reason I chose to work in education. I just so happen to use something that I'm good at, which is finance, and I'm a CPA, and use that. But one of the things that I find when I'm managing people is that I sometimes when we have projects or whatnot, it's easy to just say this project should go to this person because this is kind of their job. But I think throughout the years I've learned that that's not necessarily the best choice, and so I try to find out who's interested, who's interested in doing something, who wants to learn something new. And I think through doing that, we've accomplished a lot of different things because we've had not the typical people doing the typical projects and stuff. And I think that, and when I'm interviewing people, I am trying to find out a lot about them, because that tells me a lot about who they could be, their character, and if they have the passion to actually work in the industry that we're in, because you can go a long way just with having the love of what you're doing. So
like that's something that I think about often. So I guess that of course you have to have some of the credentials for the job and stuff. You have to meet the minimum, but once you get in, it seems like, you know, we're looking for people that want to do it, not someone that necessarily have the best resume, because someone can have a great resume and then be lazy, not want to do much, and that's not doing the company or, you know, anyone else in it like any good. So I really think that's a great point for you guys to know. It's not all about credentials. Of course you have to have some stuff, but like Ginger said, passion and hard work is going to take you a long way, like a long way. So
One other thing I think that's important is I have different managers that do things differently, but I have also been a person, and I think you can kind of relate this to the book when he talks about going out and finding out as much as you can about what it is you want to do. I am a true believer in, I surround myself with individuals that are what I call way smarter than me, that are going to question me, challenge me, ask things of me, because I think that only helps me become better and helps the institution and what we do become better. So as you're an entrepreneur, the same thing, surround yourself. And that's one of the, I'm sure, I think I've told Sherman this before, but I don't know, one of the interesting things that's come out of Dynasty for me is the people aspect, is the group of people and getting to know the people, because it's more than just working out together. It's also a base of people that you have resources that you can go back to and ask questions in the community. It's interesting.
So give me one to three habits that you think have just really attributed to your success. Because obviously, you know, we're not talking about it much, but I mean, you're the CFO of the #1 community college in the state. So, you know, give me a few tips that you can share that definitely have attributed to your success.
So if I kind of thought about this a little bit, but I think one of them is loving what you do. And I mean, I talked about that already, and I think you have to love what you're doing. When you don't, I think it's time to look and see what else you aspire to do. The second, I think, is a strong dedication or will. I mean, I've worked really hard to get where I'm at, and it doesn't go without some sacrifices. But I also, in the last probably 4 years, I've also figured out how important work-life balance is, and I think sometimes we forget about that. And then the last one I think I've even said it, is the mentorship. I still, to this day, there's some qualities, I mean, that I know that I need to improve on, and I find people that have those qualities, and I watch them, I listen to them, I talk to them, and just so that I can become better. And the last thing, while I'm thinking about it, is the other thing is I do a lot of self-reflection. And so even if something goes well, I still always sit back and think about it and say, how could have I made it better? What could have I done different? Because I'm a true believer that you learn from your mistakes, or you learn even from your or things that go well. And so I do a lot of that.
That's good. Hey, that was a great. Thanks, Ginger, for taking time out of your busy day. We aren't going to talk much, guys. I just wanted to have someone on here to sort of give you guys a heads up. I'm going to try to have someone on here, you know, at different times throughout. I'm glad that Ginger took time out of her busy schedule to do that. So we're going to get ready to get out of here. Remember, if you have questions for me or for Ginger, she won't be here tomorrow, but you can ask her a question, and I'll go back to her and get some answers. But I'm definitely going to have to ask Ginger more questions, because she knows a lot. I've sort of just been slacking, not getting tips from her. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember, tell a friend to tune in Monday through Friday, 11:45 a.m. for the Daily Dose. I'm out.